Hello and welcome to Talk of Your Game. It's just finished. West Ham United 2, Leicester City 2. In the battle for 7th, if you like, fourth last game of the season. We've got 4 goals to talk about in one massive controversial decision. Most of the action happens at the end of the game, but we'll start with the first half as always. Arthur's, what, wait, 37 minutes till the first goal, but prior to West Ham's goal, were you happy with what you were seeing from our side tonight?
I was sort of, I guess, positive. It was a good sort of start from us. It did look a little bit cagey. I think obviously it was 2 teams that are trying to go for 7th. We always expected that, but we weren't off to a slow start like we were against Everton. We didn't look rusty. We looked to have sort of followed on from Man United and shared nice spells of possession and some play at football. Obviously, I don't think we played as well in that first half as we did against Man United, but it was a confident start at home as you probably could have wished for.
Tom, in the 37th minute, we did make our breakthrough. Mark Noble with a cross into the middle of the box. Mikel Antonio got himself 1-on-1 against Ben Chilwell, won it easily in there. Lovely header. It seemed to be sort of like a tactic we were trying to do often in the first half, get Antonio 1-on-1 against Chilwell. A good goal. 9 of the last goals at London Stadium scored by West Ham, 2 have been pens and 7 have been headers. Interesting stat for you there, Tom.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat, but with balls into the box like that, you can understand why. That was a lovely ball from Noble on his left foot, absolutely fantastic. And what impressed me about that goal, though, it was really good, patient build-up just before that. We're actually struggling to find an opening to put the cross in. But Noble comes across, gets that little bit of space, crossing, like you say. It was an obvious tactic to sort of go into the game with, but you're wanting to isolate Chilwell with Antonio. We did it and we got our rewards, 1-0. And on Claret Day, it was party time.
Were you happy at half-time, Tom? At half-time, it was 1-0. Were you happy with what you were seeing in the first half?
I was happy. I just thought it was a really good game of football to watch, if I'm honest. For a neutral, it was fantastic. I thought both teams were good value. So, yeah, no arguments at all. Leicester are a good team. I wasn't expecting us to batter them by any stretch of the imagination. So it was always going to be sort of a close affair. But so, yeah, I was delighted that we were 1-0 in front, mate.
I thought we were really organised. I thought both teams were to an extent in the first half. I didn't think there was much flair from either side. I thought we were getting, neither keeper had too much to do. Both had little bits and pieces, and we were trying the sort of the killer pass, but it wasn't quite working out. Arnautovic and Vardy were both buzzing about the box, but they weren't getting the service. But we were organised, we were disciplined, which is something we don't always say about West Ham. Like you said, the last game at London Stadium against Everton, where they just tore us apart. Much harder to break down today. So that was impressing me at half-time. But we were 1-0 up, and I thought we were playing well enough. Arthur's in the 66th minute, though. The goal was sort of maybe coming a little bit for Leicester from the second half onwards. 1-1, Jamie Vardy again. Just same sort of area the ball came in from Noble. It came in from Ben Chilwell this time. Jamie Vardy gets a cross Balbuena, a little bit too easy, perhaps. Lovely finish. What do you make of the goal, Arthur's?
Yeah, it was bad from Balbuena. There's a couple of times today that centre halves have, not just in this game, even in the City game earlier, Vertonghen when he lost Aguero and Foden. It's a criminal move for a centre half to make of just losing sight of your man. And like we saw in the first half, I think it was obviously Chilwell that lost Antonio. Balbuena did the same thing and lost his man with Vardy, and that's exactly the type of goal that Vardy looks for. It's a poacher's finish. Always looks to get in between the centre halves, between the lines, stay on side, and obviously he's turned home across far too easily. And like you say, as a striker, it was a great finish. But unfortunate for us, I think at that point I thought our heads were turning because Leicester really started to grow into the game, and I thought this was it. It was going to be balls to the wall for the last sort of half an hour, and I don't know, there were just big gaps opening up in midfield. We just looked very sluggish for that little period, and I thought that the tides were certainly about to turn, and I thought it was curtains for us. But thankfully, we managed to get back into the game.
Pellegrini then made a couple of substitutions, both of which you may have raised your eyebrows at, as Pedro Obiang came on for Robert Snodgrass, and then a few minutes later, Marko Arnautovic departed for Lucas Perez. Tom, the unlikely man, and then gave West Ham the lead. Pedro Obiang this time had an effort, hit the post. There was Perez, the only one running it into the box, and a simple finish for him, 2-1 West Ham.
It was, mate, and they say, don't they, strikers should always follow up the shots, and that's, you get the reward, and he certainly did. It was a fantastic strike from Obiang, absolutely brilliant. Off the post, fantastic from Perez, 2-1. Fair play to the geezer.
Then Jack Wilshere came on in the 84th minute. He replaced Mark Noble. There was another goal, which we'll talk about in a second. We're going to skip that goal and go to the very last one. Athers, Leicester City made it 2-2 in the 91st minute or something. Lovely through ball for Vardy Barnes, who somehow found himself in acres of space. When you're 2-1 up, should a striker really, or an attacking player, really get a run in your goal, this much room, this much time, and it's a lovely finish by him. But I know something happened, which we'll come on to, but we shot ourselves in the foot there defensively, I think, Athers.
Yeah, I think we did. I didn't see the replay of the goal, actually, because I was very close to throwing my phone across the room, so I didn't actually see who was at fault. But I imagine was it Masuaku that was at fault for that, would you say?
I've not seen the replay either. I was a bit like you. I was a bit punching stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
but I think it's if it is Masuaku, and I'm sure, as I saw from sort of my own vision when it was there, that he allowed his attacker inside of him, and obviously that's his defensive frailties coming present once again. It's the sort of 50-50, the positive negative that you get with Masuaku, that in situations like that he will let you down from time to time, or a lot, as we found out this season. And I think it was almost, I mean, you mentioned a second ago, I didn't think that putting Wilshere on for the last few minutes was the right decision. I know he's come back from injury, but it felt like almost Pellegrini had sort of wrapped the game up, and it was like, let's just chuck Wilshere on for the last sort of 5 minutes. But I don't understand why he didn't just leave potentially Noble on or something like that, just to see out the game. But it is what it is, and obviously I think maybe because we hadn't sort of switched back on after what happened with the previous goal a second ago, maybe that heads had dipped and people weren't thinking straight for a second. I don't know, just a momentary lapse of concentration or something. But whatever it has done has unfortunately cost us all 3 points.
Tom, let's talk about that incident then. A lovely through ball for Lucas Perez, who at first glance you're thinking, oh, he's going too early, because he is in loads of room, but actually on replays, he's just timed his run to absolute perfection. He's timed it brilliantly. Leicester's defence is coming up while he's going in, so there's a crossover. It's not even, I don't even think they're bang on in line. I think there's about half a yard. I think he's onside by a good, a stride at least, I think. But he gets it. He sort of rounds Kasper Schmeichel. Now, it's difficult to say if the flag hadn't gone up, he would have still done that, and Schmeichel would have still done what he done. It's very difficult. But Lucas Perez went to celebrate, so you have to assume that he hadn't heard the whistle, etc., because he genuinely thought he had scored to make it 3-1. But, Tom, it's happened again. It's another bad decision by the officials. That would have put us 3-1 up. Good night, kiss, 3 points for West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame to be talking about that kind of thing again, really, because initially for Perez's goal to make it 2-1, that was a fantastic decision from the officials. They could have quite easily given that one offside, but they made the right call. Happy days. And this one, it's just a joke. Like you say, it just keeps happening to us, and it costs us points. That's not a hard decision to make either, as far as I'm concerned. Linesman should be in line perfectly. There's nothing blocking him at all. It's just straightforward. And like you say, 3-1, we've got ourselves 3 points. And that would have been massive. I don't know the gap between us and Leicester in the table, but that would have put us right up their backside, I'm sure. As it stands, we're however many points behind them as we are. And it's just ridiculous. I'm just fed up of officials making ridiculous, stupid mistakes. Obviously, we've got VAR coming in next year. And hopefully that clears a lot of that up.
Arthur, I know you weren't too happy at full time with that decision.
Obviously, if you saw last week's show, and obviously you weren't there, but I spoke quite passionately. Also, me and Charlie did for a good sort of 10 minutes on this subject. I just knew the second that offside goal hadn't been given, I just knew that they were going to do something to get back into the game. It just, I think I saw on the replay, the official wasn't up with the play. He was either behind the play, he wasn't in line with it. So no wonder he can't see that decision. It's just disappointing. It's just, once again, the top league in the world, and we're just making decisions like this. And it is the difference between European football are not now potentially again for us this season. Whereas last week we could have won. We could have had 6 points in the last 2 weeks. Instead, we come away with 1 point, and it obviously would have put us in 7th position today, and we haven't. So it was perfectly onside. And unfortunately now for us, we go into Spurs next week. That's a tough old game. And ultimately, we probably won't make European football, but it wasn't through no fault of our own. Maybe potentially for other results earlier on in the season that we could have, done better in. But we have been robbed twice in the space of 2 weeks, and it's not even like it was just little things. It's daylight robbery. It's just simple things, and it just baffles me once again why we just can't have VAR in the supposed best league in the world. It's just shocking.
I'd like to know the linesman's thinking on this one, because as Tom pointed out there, he gives Perez's first goal. Now, that to me looked more offside than the second one. In real time, you thought, how the hell is this guy standing in the box all on his own? So he's given the advantage to the attacker. Either that or his eyesight's been bang on, he's got it perfect. But anyway, it's a good call. It's a really good call. I don't know if he's maybe between the second, third goal, if he's sort of doubting himself or something, or he's thinking, I'm not sure that was onside, maybe I shouldn't have given that, blah, blah, blah. And he's just, the second one, he's thought, I'm not taking a chance here and put my flag up. If I'm wrong, hopefully there's a law of averages where I get one right and one wrong or something. I think he's just maybe panicked because of the result of the first one, which he has obviously allowed the goal to stand. But Arthur's is perfectly right here. We have been robbed. Wolves have dropped points today as well at home to Brighton. They've drew the game, it gives us the benefit. But there's also a repercussion here for Lucas Perez. This guy has been sidelined at West Ham. We're all expecting him to be so, but he's basically sort of been told, maybe not in words, but through actions, you don't really have a future at West Ham. He comes off the bench today, gets the first goal. Happy days. And then he thinks, or he should have, gone and got us 3-1 up. He should be running around celebrating with the fans today. It could have a massive impact on his future at West Ham. We don't know. But it's got repercussions for the individual as well. And it's just frustrating because I actually think the referee didn't do too bad today. I know that's not going to be a popular thing, but I thought he let a lot of sort of tackles that other referees would blow for. I thought he let a lot of it go. I think Maddison should have been booked, but apart from that, I think he refed it well. But it's the linesman that's let him down. I thought the referee, I thought it was a good game to watch. It was a tough game. There's tough tackles from both sides going in, for example. I know people say he was against West Ham or something. I know I've seen some of that on social media. But there was an incident that went perfectly in our favour earlier because Ogbonna went down injured. Wasn't a head injury. And Leicester started breaking. He stopped the play because he thought, hang on, this is a bit unfair because there's a guy lying in the 6-yard box here, so you can all flood the box and be onside. He didn't have to stop it, but he did. So it works both ways. I thought the referee had a good game, but it's just frustrating. We should have won today. We should be sitting here celebrating 3 points, etc., against a very difficult opposition. But we're not. We're now talking about the officials once more. It's a frustrating thing. Arthurs, what did you make of the overall performance, though? Finished 2-2, obviously. So while we're disappointed we didn't get 2 points, what do you make of West Ham's performance?
I think, like we said, the first half was sort of impressive again. Obviously, we went into the break 1-0 up. I thought it was a very composed first half performance. I just think that the second half, we just seemed to just lose our legs a bit. It was obviously a nice day down in London. It was hot. I don't know whether that plays into it, at all. But there was a little spell for 20 minutes where we were just flat and dead. And every time Leicester looked forward to break, obviously when they scored their goal and just afterwards, there was huge gaps in midfield. And it just looked like, Rice and Noble were just, I wouldn't want to say running around like headless chickens, but there was just a lot of space for Leicester to be able to create and do what they want and shift the ball about and pass and switch. And I felt in that time we were very stagnant in the way that we just sort of passed side to side. We weren't really doing anything with it, just trying to catch our breath. So, it's, I guess, ultimately a draw is not too bad. Sort of coming in, you would say Leicester have been in great form under Rodgers and have been scoring lots of goals, been winning a lot of games as well. So a draw would have been a fair result, but unfortunately, obviously on paper, not on paper, we've seen from today that we've lost the 3 points. So you don't know how that will affect the dressing room when the boys obviously must know that they've done enough to secure a win and ultimately haven't. So I think it's while it's been a sort of a good day in terms of football performance wise, I just think that just the whole mood has changed once again because of I don't want to swear, but officials and stuff. Things outside of our control. Tom,
your thoughts on the 90 minutes, please.
I thought we did enough to shade it, mate. I really do. I think we just shaded that. I thought we played really well today. It was a good game of football. I think it did become open a bit later on, which was our own doing. But apart from that, yeah, we've scored 2. Arguably should have got the 3rd. So 3 goals against a very good Leicester side, who I think have got the best back 5, certainly outside the top 6. Few of them would even take that back 5. So really and truly, I'm disappointed. You're always disappointed to drop points in that sort of manner in the last minute. But I'm happy with the performance. I can't come away from that, mate. I thought we played really well, and it was better than what I expected going into this game. I thought we'd really struggle.
Yeah, I thought the first half we played well. I thought the second half Leicester played well. It's not necessarily a criticism of us. Arthur's is right though. Towards the end, we were getting really laggy in the middle of the pitch. There was gaps opening up, and Pellegrini did 2 changes in there. I think Arthur makes a good point though. He sort of took Wiltshire on as almost like a token gesture. And when Wiltshire came on, you could see him saying to Obiang and Rice, "You two sit. I'm going to play in behind Perez." And you just thought, well, with 5 minutes on the clock, 2-1 up, is that the right thing to do? Maybe you should have had Wiltshire in there as well and just sort of tried to play a keep ball, because we were clearly tired. It's not a bad thing. It's the end of the season. Like Arthur's alluded to, it's roasting hot. It's the 85th minute. It's been a hard game. People will be tired, so let's just keep the ball. We just watched it earlier with Man City, Spurs. City were knackered for the last 10 minutes. They were booting the ball away and just trying to keep ball. We should have done that. If the offside goal, I think it's maybe we've switched off a little bit or lost our heads or something. But it's not a good enough excuse for you. When you're at the Premier League, you have to be able to be switched on for 90 minutes, regardless of what action's happening on the pitch, regardless of what the officials are doing. And it's just disappointing we didn't see out the win. We should have got the win, but it's disappointing we didn't just play it safe, if you like. That goal Barnes scored is not a goal you should be conceding in the 90-odd minute when you're a goal up. You should be a lot tighter than that at the back. Individual players, Tom, we'll start with yourself. There's a few to choose from. Praise or criticise, up to yourself. Take your pick.
Okay, I'll talk about a couple of players. First of all, I want to talk about Arnautovic. I think this might be unpopular because, well, I've hammered him as much as anyone, but I thought he really tried today. I thought he put in a bit of a shift, and I saw him closing down numerous times. A lot of people ain't going to like that, but that was just how I saw it. I thought I saw a good attitude from him today, even if things weren't quite coming off for him. Other than that, I thought Balbuena, yes, he was at fault for their first goal, but I thought he was outstanding apart from that. The amount of clearances that man makes, and he makes them clearances because more often than not is in the right place at the right time. His positioning tends to be terrific. So I thought he was fantastic as well, mate.
Arthur, you're reacting from talking about Arnautovic there.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I just think he's just a waste of space at the minute. I just think, yeah, he might hold the ball up now and again, but he just looks a shell of the player he was, and he's only got himself to sort of blame for that. I just think he's 1 minute he turns up, not against against Chelsea. He had a good game when he came in, played up front after he switched with Hernandez. He just, I don't know. It's just not Arnautovic of old, is it? His head's gone. He's far too lazy for me. He just walks around half the time. I know he tries. I know he makes the effort to run, but he's not producing the same results as he did at the start of the season. And for a player of his quality, which we all know he has, it's just, I don't know whether it's just frustrating or just disappointing, or just the fact that I'm just ready for him to move on now, as I'm sure sort of 50, 60, 70, whatever % of the fan base are as well. I thought Antonio was excellent today. I thought he really did try. I thought he's running and just his presence. Sometimes we know he doesn't have the end product, but he just the last few weeks he's looked like the Antonio in sort of the last season at the Boleyn. He just pops up with the occasional headed goal, or he makes that bursting run, or he doesn't look as leggy and as tired as he did. We would say at the start of the season when he looked like he put far too much muscle on. I don't know. Just the last few weeks he's looked a bit more like himself, the Antonio of old, which I think is brilliant for us. I thought Rice had an okay game. I think it was at times he made a few brilliant interceptions. But like I said, there was that period, whether it was his fault or Noble's fault, where they weren't in communication with each other in midfield. I thought Noble's ball was absolutely brilliant to be out on the wing like that. We never see him out there. But obviously he's picked a beautiful pass for Antonio. And I'd probably just say Fabianski again. I thought he made some good saves now and again. But yeah, other than that, it was sort of, I wouldn't say it was the back four's best day at the office, but I'm sure we can learn from that.
I think everyone today was about a 7 out of 10. I think we'll struggle to find anyone that was 9 out of 10, if you like. When it comes to man match, I've got a feeling we'll all have different answers because I don't think anyone was head and shoulders above anyone else in the team. I don't think anyone else had a disaster of a game. I thought
Felipe Anderson probably actually, now I think of it, might have had the quietest performance.
Well, I was waiting to come on to him. The one I think Tom's right about Balbuena. He made amends for his error. He just lost Vardy. I think you have to praise Vardy more than criticise Balbuena here. Vardy does fantastic to nip in front of that. You know, a lot of other strikers, and we've seen them at West Ham, they would just stood still and went, "Oh, why didn't you get the ball to me?" rather than actually making the move to the front post. So credit to Vardy rather than him. But then Balbuena went and took it off Iheanacho's head. About 10 minutes later, it looked like it was a destined for the goal. Barnes was then one-on-one, tried to cut to Vardy. There was Balbuena to knock it behind. So he made amends for his the goal Leicester scored. I thought he was really good. I thought Masuaku played well again defensively up against Albrighton, who's not the best winger, but he's sort of one of those pesky Premier League ones that knows all the tricks of the trade and how to get free kicks, etc. And I thought Masuaku stood up well to him. The blot on his page is obviously Harvey Barnes then coming on and scoring, if you like, but that's where I would turn around to your manager and say Barnes was looking dangerous the minute he came on, and you didn't do anything about it. If you like, you left Masuaku one-on-one up against him. Where at a later stage you should have done something. Anderson is so frustrating. Now, this isn't saying he's had a bad game. He's had a quiet game. We've just seen him at Old Trafford tearing that place up, looking like he could earn a move to Man United if he played like that every week. Then you come to this one, and the guy who was running down the wing willy-nilly at Old Trafford, taking players on, then all of a sudden didn't want to go toe-to-toe Ricardo Perez. Now, he's a good right-back, but Anderson didn't test him at all. Quite often we were counter-attacking, and Anderson would slow it down, if anything. He'd go out to him, he would take a few touches and play it sideways. It's just so frustrating. You just want to pick him up and, I don't know, make him eat a tablet of confidence or something so then he can go and do stuff. Because Arthur's is right. I thought Antonio was our best player in the first half. I thought he quietened in the second half. But in the first half, Antonio was running, he was direct. At one point, he carried the ball for 30 yards and got a corner. Now, might not be that fancy, but he still did something. Anderson, the rest of the game, he had opportunities. You're thinking, go on, take him on. And he just doesn't. He just goes up to him, stops and turns. It's the guy's got all the ability, but he just doesn't have the... he's got the endeavour. I don't know if it's the confidence or is it the balls or what. Is he afraid to make a mistake? There's something about Anderson. But Pellegrini's got to get that out of him so that he does attack the right back a lot more, because it's frustrating to watch him out there. Now, before I get your hammer of the matches, small consolation to West Ham conceding a last-minute goal to Harvey Barnes. As you know, we do a charity bet with Betway every week. I can pick what I want. I can put whatever I want in the bet. So this week I did both teams to score. Both teams get 4 or more corners. Under 4.5 cards in the game, because I knew this referee doesn't hand out many yellow cards. And Harvey Barnes to score. Now, unfortunately, Harvey Barnes has scored. The good news is it was 10-1, so £500 goes into the fund for Isla. And Betway also matched the fund at the end of the season. So essentially, £1,000 is just gone into the kitty, which goes to Isla at the end of the season. So there's a small silver lining to otherwise a grey cloud, thanks to the linesmen. Arthurs, may I have your man of match, please, for today's game?
Yes, obviously good for the Isla thing. Well played, Gio. Obviously, well played. Your betting knowledge coming through. Hammer of the match, I would just say for that first half, I would say Antonio edges it for me. Obviously, I thought Perez was excellent when he came on, and he obviously had done enough to win it for us. But no, I think I'd just go with the sort of on the more obvious choices, and I'd say Antonio today for his efforts.
Tom?
Someone we've not really mentioned before he came off. I thought Snodgrass had a really good game today. I thought he showed a lot of endeavour in there in the middle of the park. I thought he played really well. But I'm going to give it to the geezer that I've already spoke about, Balbuena. Despite Vardy's goal, I just thought he was clearing everything in there today. He was fantastic. He was a rock.
I almost gave it to Antonio. I just thought he faded in a second. I was tempted to give it to Perez, actually, because he did literally nothing wrong. Came on, scored 2 goals. What more do you want? And Avic has played, let me just check, I don't know, 77 minutes. Marco Avic played 77 minutes. I think he had 1 shot early on, scuffed shot, went wide, that's it. Perez comes on, same role, a little bit of movement, a little bit of chasing down the shots, etc. And he's got himself 2 goals. I'm tempted to give it to him, but I'm going to give it to Snodgrass. Thought he was fantastic today. Leicester City's midfield is very, very good. It doesn't get spoken enough yet because Tielemans only joined in January, but next season that midfield, that trio will be utterly fantastic. And Sawgrass was one of the reasons that they didn't influence the game as much as they could have or possibly should have. But anyway, you guys at home, let us know what you think in the YouTube comments below. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. We'll be back soon. We've got Spurs next week, so that'll be a tasty preview to do. And of course, we'll have our review straight after the game as well as a build-up show, which will be quite early. Actually, it'll be 11:30 next Saturday. So join us then, and we'll see you in a bit.